sink down and emotions feel like I never did before. Live shows and unspoken reels of the movie I ignored. Blue skies on a broken sea and I'm stuck up on the shore. I never thought you could see me, but you did. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're called, falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. Colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're calling, falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind, yeah. Colorblind for all my life, and they kept painting rainbows. I'm colorblind, it's black and white. It seems it will remain. And you've been colorblind for all your life, too scared to even say so. We're colorblind, it's black and white. It seems it will remain so. Colorblind, yeah. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're calling, falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind. All I know is we're here, that they took us somewhere. So what they say we're calling, falling out of line. They don't know the two of us are colorblind.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
How are you?
everybody. Hi,
You're
everybody.
absolutely on time, Drago. Welcome. Mr. Russian TV, thank you so much for the bits, by the way. We really appreciate that. Who's here? We got King, Ghost, Nugget, and Trinsic.
Mr. Russian.
Yes, of course, yeah. They,
Hello, everybody.
hope you're all well and having a nice Wednesday. Verdant, it's good to see you.
Alright.
So, hey, cool guy, how are you?
Hey, cool
It's good
guy.
to see you again. Sai,
Hi.
Hey,
welcome
welcome
back.
back.
Sai, you keeping up with the MMA events lately? I'm planning on getting back into it because I've totally lost track, but I'm going to be getting back into it for the Till fight.
So, as many of you know, we have Cazzler here today. And can I
Hello.
just point out really quick, your Your room looks amazing. Like it looks like one of those like people who do YouTube videos on like stream setups and stuff, and then it's like the angle, the lighting in the background, and like just like how it's not messy whatsoever. Like in Rory's, you can tell like there's a pillow just sitting there, and it's like
Wow, Trevor.
What are you shooting at me for? Fuck
That's turned into a Rory roast.
Just sitting here minding my own business. Now, so how much of it? I wanted to ask about your setup straight away. Well, first of all, you can get a link. You can do the current guest command right now and get a link to Cazzler's channel, where you can find a lot of different stuff. And one of the things you can find there a lot of is EFT. So if you're a big EFT fan, highly recommend. And we're going to be getting into Cazzler's history and all that, and doing the full sort of usual biographical breakdown. But I have to ask about camera thing. So what I've heard from photography people, I'm more of an audio guy myself. I don't know much at all about the photography side of streaming. I've heard it's just as much lighting as it is camera, like getting the right lighting. How has your lighting setup evolved along with your camera setup?
It used to be more than it is now. And I think we'll dive into it a little bit later, but I used to be a character streamer. So the program that I used was Character Animator. It was live mapped to my face, so my face had to be super lit. And I used a really cheap camera, so I used to have like two softbox lights hitting me from both sides. Now it's just the Elgato key light just right above my camera, and that's it. That and the blue lights behind me. But yeah, when it comes to lighting, there's a lot of factors that go into it with like a camera. If you're using a USB webcam, then you need a little bit more lighting, but if you use a DSLR, then you can get away with a little bit less lighting if you have the right lens for it.
And you were, I mean, not to out you for this one, but we were talking about lenses right before, and you mentioned like lenses can be quite an endeavor to get into those. What were there any resources that really helped you when you were learning how to stream on, like dissecting all the camera information, or was that stuff you already knew?
I actually just recently started getting into camera stuff, mainly for work. I'm a marketing manager for an online flooring company, and so I have to do photos and stuff like that and photo shoots, and I actually do all of the host stuff for whenever they're bringing out new products, because they have a pretty big YouTube presence. So I just recently started getting into that, and I had one of my old roommates is a photographer, working with a photographer that works for the company, and then just YouTube and Amazon reviews.
Right on.
It's the way of the future. It's just YouTube.
It really is. Now we'll definitely be asking some more questions about the rest of your setup as the stream goes on. But in terms of getting started into streaming from the other side of things, from the gaming side of things, and from the viewer side of things, were you? How did you start in Twitch? Were you a viewer first, or did you come in from another platform?
I didn't. Well, I guess we have to backtrack a little bit. So before I even started doing Twitch, I gamed a little bit growing up. I gamed on like Nintendo 64, regular PlayStation. Those were kind of my days. And then PlayStation 4 came out. I started playing Call of Duty, played Call of Duty a lot. I got married, and she was anti-game. So I kind of stopped gaming for a long time. And then in 2010, I built my first PC and started playing League of Legends as kind of a troll move. My roommate at the time played League of Legends all the time, and I made fun of him for it. Like, he would pay I would make fun of him, like, you paid real money for this fake money to get these skins that you'll never be able to use. And he was a big nerd into it, so I started my own League of Legends account, started playing it just to get to a rank to where I could play against him, and the thought that maybe I could get into a game with him, beat him, and like have the ultimate laugh at it. But of course that was a pipe dream, and that never happened, and I ended up getting hooked on League. And then
wait, so you're the epitome of that saying from The Dark Knight: you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Became the villain.
Became the villain, man. And League of Legends is still to this day is one of my guilty pleasures. I play that all the time. So I did that. I started getting into League, and then I wanted to be better, so I found Twitch and just started watching people play it, and I was like, oh, fuck, Twitch, I can do that. That's super easy. You know, the first thought that every new streamer has. and started doing it, and fell in love with it. Just started meeting new people, getting into it, and I started streaming as myself, and instantly came like super self-conscious on camera. And then I found this guy named Scribbly who does character animator, and he does it the best out of anybody I've ever seen. And befriended him, and I got started in it, and then I turned to Cazzler the dog, and that's how it kind of started growing. Like that.
So the name Cazzler, did that predate the character, or?
No, it didn't. So when I started playing League of Legends, I started out as Echo. I don't know if anybody's familiar with League of Legends, but Echo just came out. And so I played the crap out of him. I think I'm over 1 million mastery on him right now. And every time I would play him with his E, because it dashes in, I would for some reason just yell razzle dazzle and go into it. So I wanted a
Cazzle dazzle.
Yeah, the Cazzle dazzle, I guess.
Cazzle dazzle.
And so I just wanted a 1-word name, and like dazzle, razzle was all taken, and my old gamer tag was Castor from Castor Troy, which is, I think, Egyptian mythology, where it's the 2 brothers of war. And they're Siamese brothers, and they only split during war. And so it was Castor Troy, so I was Castor. And so I just put the C in front of Razzle and became Cazzler.
That's a cool
I
name
love that.
origin story. Yeah.
That is a really good story actually
I
behind
like
it.
that.
The
I like the touch of you would just be like, oh, I just yeeted in and like.
Oh
said
yeah, all the
something,
time.
and it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, my teammates hated me when I first started playing League, or because I would just dive into fights all the time.
No, don't worry. Everybody's teammates
Mine.
when they start playing League. They so I have a couple questions that spin off of your answer there. So you mentioned starting on like PS1 and N64 and stuff like that, and then we jumped to PS4 and you're playing Call of Duty. Were you always on shooters coming up, or what were your favorite games coming up on those other consoles?
When I was in the Nintendo 64 days, I was younger, so I was playing a lot of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. Like those were all kind of my jams. But I played a lot of sports games when I was younger. So I played Madden because I had an older brother who's 8 years older than me, and he was into sports. So I always played like Madden, NHL, NCAA, and then I started getting into shooters right when Halo came out. I never had an Xbox, but I would go to LAN parties and play all the time. And then Call of Duty, of course, was PS4, which I had. So then I switched over to a lot more FPS.
So also cool guy. Thank you so much for gifting that sub to Zeph. Zeph, you got the emotes and the sub badge, both of which were designed by Trev. They're actually badass. So they enjoy them. So you were a bit of a latecomer to PC gaming, which is interesting because you've obviously embraced. I mean, I mentioned EFT and I mentioned League of Legends. I mean, those are obviously 2 PC titles, so you've really embraced PC gaming. What inspired you to build your first PC, and what were the first games you connected with after building the PC?
So the reason why I built the first PC is because I wanted a better PC than my roommate. Like I was just trying to be competitive with him.
So it was
wait, is
all
this the same
just to
roommate
wanna-
who you got into a league for?
Yep,
He's
exactly.
like, bro,
These roots go deep. These roots go deep.
His stream is based on elaborate one-ups.
Yeah, exactly.
Big 1v1 me, this whole thing.
The whole
like, bro,
thing.
I got a better PC than you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat your ass at your favorite game.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a competitive side, I guess. So yeah, I just sold my first house. I had a little bit of money, so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna buy a badass PC and did it. And then plus like a graphic design at that point really started piquing my interest, and I wanted to get into that, so I wanted a machine that can run Adobe and everything without any problems.
Oh yeah, Adobe is like really resource heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. The all the creative stuff is resource heavy. The video editing, like
Yeah.
like it can really take it. So you weren't intimidated at all for building your first PC. You really just like dove into it.
Really dove into it. My old roommate, his name's Dustin. Him and another guy I grew up with. I have two pretty close friends that I grew up from like diapers in, and they were both always PC, always trying to get me on PC, but I didn't want to embrace
Quick question.
mouse and keyboard.
Your roommate named Dustin. Are they on Twitch as well?
He's a viewer on Twitch, but he doesn't.
Is it your
anything.
friend Dustin?
Well, actually, I am friends with your friend Dustin. He's
okay.
in the same state, and yeah, no, him and I are friends outside of Twitch. But that's funny that you know him too.
Yeah, no, I was like, wait, I know this
I
name.
feel like Trevor knows everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Kava. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. It's good to have you here. I think I can tell by your emote usage that you are a fan of our guest here.
Yeah, he's actually one of my mods.
Ooh.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
well, welcome in.
Yeah, so I do know Dustin, but no, a totally different Dustin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I forgot what we're talking about.
You're talking about
Dustin. Just kidding.
You were building your first PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I built my first PC. I wasn't intimidated on it at all because I had my buddy basically tell me what to buy.
Yeah.
And that one was definitely my training wheels PC, learning what goes in what slot and all that good stuff. Sorry, dirty minded. And then
Just really expensive Legos is how you think about it.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly. Very
Yeah,
expensive Legos. The thing I was most worried about was actually putting the CPU in the right way and all that good stuff. But my second PC is when I really dove into it and learned the parts and learned where to not bottleneck and all that good stuff.
Yeah. It's always interesting to me to see PC gamers and how they came into it. We have most of this group here, Melly, Trev, and Morgan, came into PC gaming in the last 2 years, and it's been really fun to watch their evolution.
Yeah.
Which has been pretty, I would say, pretty complete. Like Trev, immediately after building, Trev was the first one of the group to convert over to the whichever side of the force you think PC gaming is. And I remember one of the first things after he built it, he was like, "Okay, I'm not dealing with console load times ever again."
Yeah. Oh, that's a huge thing.
It was interesting. Because when I got I'm super into like farming sims and stuff like that, and
Oh, nice.
my brother actually let me borrow. He had a spare PC, and so that's what I had been using for about a year. And then I literally just a few days ago I bought myself all new parts, and he guided
nice.
me through it, and I built myself my own PC, so I have my very own now. And I can remember though the first time, because I love farming sims, and I got my time at Porsche when it came out. It had been out on PC, I think, for like a year maybe around. And I usually, for those kinds of games, I just would wait until they came out on console, and I don't now. But it was a bit of an intensive game, not like too intensive. It was cartoony and stuff like that. But there's a lot you can do, and I would play, and it crashed at one point, like on my Switch, and the load times were killer. Like it was minutes that I would have to sit and wait. Just like I would go into a house and I'd have to wait minutes, and then I would just be like, I just need to give this person an apple to make them happy and say hi, and then leave, and it'd be like 5 more minutes of waiting, which doesn't seem very long, but in gaming, like when you're going in and out of places, that's so much time. Well, Trev is super awesome, and he didn't want my time at Porsche when he got it through Humble Bundle, through the monthly, and so he gave it to me, and
nice.
I downloaded it. And it took like seconds, like maybe 10 seconds tops.
Yeah, the load time's way better on
It
PC.
was incredible.
Were you doing that on your? Were you streaming when you were waiting on those load times?
No, not at that time.
Oh, okay. That'd be killer.
Oh my god, that'd be horrible.
It'd be like a 4-hour stream, and 3 hours of it would be load time.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, Melly remembers with the Witcher, because she streamed The Witcher on.
It was the worst
console.
part about streaming The Witcher was the load
PS4,
times.
Yeah, I was just like,
Yeah, oh my god.
Like a few hours into it, I was like, why didn't I just do this on PC?
Well, that was another thing too, because I got The Witcher 3 on PC. I haven't streamed it or anything, but I told Melly that if she ever wants to just replay it, because I know she has it, but to get it, to just play it on the PC, because for one thing, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous on PC. But the load times were, again, just like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds top.
Yeah.
Which
When I was first lobbying to get a original PlayStation, going from N64 for my dad, that was his biggest argument. He was like, "You have to wait for load times, the disc." So I just finally convinced him, but that was like the biggest thing that he wouldn't let me get it for. Was just
wait a second. So Your dad is a gamer, or
I mean, he would play with me. I wouldn't consider him a gamer. My dad's like
Okay.
a construction guy. Like he's
Nah.
rough around the edges, big beard, biker dude. So he doesn't game or anything.
oh, that's just interesting that'd be a drawback for him. Like for my dad, it was like video games probably a waste of time, and it's yours like no, the load times.
Yeah, and
Like
like,
that.
Very
that
different worlds
pretty
there.
funny.
It's like,
I think
huh?
load times are something that everybody notices. Like, I think for people building their first PCs, like, well, I remember when SSDs first started to become affordable, it was the biggest thing that consumer people noticed. Like, people who weren't into gaming and stuff like that, like, you immediately noticed the difference. And I think I was talking to Ian about Prof. Ian, a friend of the show, and a friend of mine and Morgan's. And I was telling him because I recently picked out Morgan's parts list, and Morgan built her first PC, and we were talking about all the people converting to consoles to PC, and I was like, I think a big part of it too is you notice the age of a console near the end of the lifetime in things like load times. Like now that the PS4 is where it is, and a lot of people have PCs with SSDs in them, you really feel how old that PS4 is. That PS5 honestly is gonna like the like proprietary little
It's gonna
NVMe thing they have is gonna be
revolutionize
huge,
the
huge
games,
improvement.
Like,
yep, definitely will be.
Wait, do you still play any console games? Or you're just primarily PC now?
No, I was just doing a playthrough of Last of Us 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I have not finished it yet because I got frustrated with it.
Oh, okay. Wait. So
Got it.
initial thoughts, spoiler
Anybody
free.
who spoils the game in the chat is gonna get shot by me. But
Spoiler free.
I was so in love with the first one. Still one of my top.
Same. Yeah.
Still one of my top 5 games of all time. The reason why I haven't finished it is because I'm a little disappointed. I feel like I've walked and talked through the whole freaking game that it kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Mhm.
It seems like there was more than one writer that wrote this script. It seems like it's written by like 14 people that didn't talk to each other.
are you saying it's like Anthem when it was 3 different companies working on one game, and that's why it felt like it
I don't
was
know if he's
crap?
saying it's that bad.
Honestly, like I'd say that's exactly how I felt about Kingdom Hearts 3, because I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan. Just earlier on my stream, I'm not gonna get it down now, but like I actually showed off the Keyblade that I had made for one of my cosplays.
Oh, nice.
For Kyrie's, and like I love that game. Like I cosplayed as Kyrie, I made the whole freaking Keyblade. Like I've been into this series since 2002, like since the day that it came out in America. And like I think like it's sad because I think a lot of us like we hype these up too much, I think. And it's the same thing with The Last of Us Part 2 is that it's our own fault at the same time too, is that we hype it up way too much. But I absolutely felt that way, exactly what you said, that you felt like it's almost like there were multiple writers that didn't talk to each other, because with Kingdom Hearts 3 it was even like a bunch of different animators too, like I mean obviously there's different animators that work on different things in games, but this felt like it was just a completely different like company, like what Trev said, like working on different parts of this game. And like the storyline like got really weird, and I was like, this feels really disconnected somehow. And the unfortunate part is that like we do really hype it up, and so sometimes I want to be really excited for like a game coming out, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta be careful. I need to step back a little bit. One of my favorite things that I've seen from it was when the Nintendo Switch was gonna come out and Breath of the Wild was gonna come out. I saw this one meme that made me laugh, and it just, now I think about it sometimes, because the person said, my girlfriend was getting a little bit too hyped up over the Switch coming out in Legend of Zelda, so I had her hold the Remember box, and now the game is good at least, but she was holding the collector's edition for No Man's Sky.
So here's a question for Kaz, and I guess for everybody here, is because there are definitely examples of games that have taken forever to come out, and then they came out and they were Duke Nukem forever. But there are also examples of games that had took some time, maybe took some extra time, and then really lived up. Is there any game you can think of that you were waiting for a long time, really hyped about it, and it delivered in every way?
I would say Breath of the Wild for me, because
I think a lot of people went that way.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild was fantastic for me. The story was amazing. It looks beautiful. Mechanics, it kind of, to me, the mechanics were still kind of true to Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, but still felt new. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. It's kind of the way it felt to me, but like, yeah, that one was amazing right out the box, and I still play that from time to time.
So you're really hyped for number 2, I bet.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. I haven't really seen much news on it lately, but yeah, I'm excited.
What I have to do is I need to make sure to have a look out if there's an actual collector's edition, because with Nintendo, as you might know, Nintendo tends to not do like actual collector's editions. They have like their regular edition and then a special edition or limited edition, was they usually call it. Yeah. I was at a convention when the pre-orders for that went down, so I messaged my mom and I was like, you need to go to GameStop right now and pre-order this for me real fast. Because that's all I had seen, was because I have the special edition for it, and then there was a collector's edition, and I was like, I'm so mad that I didn't get this.
It's a good mom though that she did it for you though, right?
Oh yeah, my mom does stuff like that all the time because she knows like what, like I have 3 older brothers. We're all really into gaming, so since it was my brother's old PC, we actually gave her the old one.
Oh, nice.
So she wants to play The Witcher. Like I gave her my old Switch because I got the new Animal Crossing one, and she's been going nuts with lots of games. So I'm super happy that she's been having a lot of fun, especially during COVID.
Oh yeah.
She's a teacher's aide, and I was a substitute teacher, so we were like
not working
out of work.
Yeah.
So we needed something to do. So
that's a good alternative.
Oh yeah, she's happy. She's played like almost 400 hours of Animal Crossing.
Now you just need to get her to stream and like.
She'd have a lot of fun with it too, and she could off of that old PC. It's still fine. So.
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah, and it's got a good processor too. So there was one thing I wanted to ask you as well, Kaz, is because I know you're an EFT player, and it's interesting to me where people go into EFT because it's not really like other things. It's not even like other loot-based things. So what was your journey into EFT? Was there a streamer you watched who introduced you to it?
No, not really. Okay, so the way that I got into EFT is I have 2 streamer friends that I had met through streaming. One, when I was in League, I was just like going through the League directory, trying to find people that were similar sizes, like you know what you do when you're trying to grow. And I found this guy. His name was Tanner. At the time, his name was Peanut. And I think he's
too.
Oh wait, he's on our team.
He's on Variety. Yeah, exactly. So I found him and just started hanging out with him. And then I found out he was from Arizona. And then he introduced me to Goofer, which is Goofer Games. And they both really loved EFT when it first started coming out. And so they tried to get me to play it. And I was like, that game is so friggin' boring. No way that people are going to watch that game. It's so dumb. It's so hard. No, not going to happen. So they bugged me for months. And I finally got like the standard edition. And Goofer took me into one raid. I got one tapped like right away. And I was like, see, this game's friggin' bullshit. You know, I'm out. I'm getting out of here. So I stopped playing it for a while. And then I went to TwitchCon 2017 or 18, one of those two. As when I first met Spinachy, because I met her through Tanner and met Mop Garden. But then,
I probably met you then, because I was at both of those.
Maybe. I think it was 2017. We all first got there, and it was like Tanner, Spinachy, Mop, Tanner, myself, Goof, and then a bunch of people I didn't know. Like as soon as everybody got there, we went out and had drinks, like immediately. So you might have been there. I don't know, I have a picture of it. I can pull it up and see if you're there. So then I don't know if you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys know Classy Get Sassy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
she's been on the podcast before, actually.
Yeah. So Classy got me into the partner party, and then I just started bullshitting with this dude about guitars and playing music and stuff, and it ended up being Veritas.
Yeah.
And him and I just like clicked as dudes. Like we had man crushes on each other immediately. And
he's really like laid back and like super cool to like. He's easy to get along with.
Yeah, he is super easy to get along with. And so him and I just kind of hit it off, and it wasn't until the end of the night I was like, what do you play, man? What, do you stream? Are you just somebody that I just got a conversation up with? And he played EFT, so I started hanging out with him, and then I realized, oh shit, he's actually one of the top EFT streamers. And so then I started getting into it and playing and just watching him. And as soon as I started getting good at it, is when I started getting really addicted to it and started really getting into it. So that's kind of how I fell into it. Now it's like the only game I want to play.
Yeah. That seems to be the case. A lot of streamers find it very addictive. I think part of it is that it has properties which lend itself to being a stream game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
It's a great stream game because it's got build up to moments, it's got high intense moments, and then it also has like the downtime when you're going through your stash or building a gun or whatever, where you can talk and bullshit with chat.
It's really good. That's one thing. Like I'm not qualified to give people stream advice at all. But if you put a gun to my head and force me to give some stream advice, like one of the things for sure would be like picking a game that has some downtime. Like that's one of the reasons why I play stealth games. Part of it is because I love stealth games, but also part of it is like you're creeping around and you can just stop moving and be like, yeah, that is a cool whatever movie or whatever. You could just interact with chat.
Exactly, and EFT has that kind of element to it. There's parts where you are creeping around and trying to hear where people are from, and then there's the horror factor of it. Like you'll just be doing nothing, and all of a sudden someone will jumping out at you. It just seems like it's got a lot of genres in it. Like you said, it really doesn't have its own home.
So, departing from games a little bit, there's a couple things that I really wanted to talk to you about, and the first of which is the character streaming thing. What was it? Talk about a bit about getting into that as a technical endeavor, as well as a stream endeavor, and a bit about maybe the character streaming community, because there are, like you mentioned a streamer you watched. There are actually quite a number of character streamers.
There's a lot of character streamers. The biggest character streamer out there, and a lot of people don't realize that he is a character streamer in that sense, is Dr. Disrespect. I mean, he is a character, but there's a huge community of character streaming. When I first picked up, I always refer to it as the mask, because when I first started doing it, was because I was super self-conscious in front of the camera, and decided to do that so I could kind of just be myself. It was more of a tool for me to, let those not inhibitions, those
nerves.
Yeah, the nerves kind of just so I could be myself and just play the games and interact with people. But when I started playing around with it, I realized how much of a CPU hog that character animator really is. So that's when I dove into building the second PC, and there's a lot of technical stuff to it, especially with the program itself. The basic premise behind the program is just like in Photoshop or Illustrator. There's layers. So like, how on Photoshop you'll make a layer to do something else, whatever.
Yeah.
What this does is, for every like mouth movement or movement on the screen, blinks, eye lifts, or whatever, it's all individual layers, just like you would do on a sticky pad to make an animation.
Flip through anime. Oh, okay, so that's a lot of layers then.
Yeah, so like a mouth movement, like I had mouth layers that were 50 layers each, and each one of those illustrations had to be individually made. So the time that it took just to make a different animation is kind of ultimately why I gave it up, is because now I started this new job. I'm engaged. I'm going to be getting married next year, and I just...
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. I just didn't have the time to dedicate to like keeping it fresh and stuff like that. Plus, one of the drawbacks, and there are character streamers out there that nail it. Like there's one, Say Hey Rocco, little cat puppet, plays a lot of Sea of Thieves. She does a great job, but one of the things that I think that character streamers cannot do unless they're in real form characters is it's very hard to connect with the chat, because you'll play a game and like even if you're not saying anything, your face is saying everything. Or if you read somebody's stupid chat message, your face is saying everything. But in character form, you don't get that. So there is this disconnect. It's an awesome, like, oh, this is really cool, like what's the word I'm looking, like novelty of it. There's a really cool novelty part of it where it's like, oh, this is awesome. All the work that goes into it is great, but when it comes to connecting with the community, which is kind of what Twitch is all built around, it's really hard to do. And
I'm so sorry. Continue.
I was ending that thought. It's really hard. It's really hard to do, and I wasn't able to master it. So
Just what
killing off Cazzler.
I looked up Say Hey Rocco. Like when you said she's a cat puppet, I thought you meant like an animated like puppet, and I was like, no, it's an actual puppet.
No, Say Hey Rocco is one of the best streamers on the platform, and it's because she does a hand puppet, while she's playing Sea of Thieves with one hand.
Oh,
and she's
wow.
in character the whole time.
Gotta
This
be
is
like,
so cool.
because
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's also playing on the VOD that I'm watching right now. She's actually playing that Gunfire game, Roy, that we got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she
Oh,
is.
yeah, that was fun.
As far as I know, I hate to give away secrets, but like as far as I know, she's playing with like an accessible game Xbox pad.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
while
that
she's
makes
doing
sense.
it.
Sure.
Those
Yeah.
I think are so amazing too. I think it's so neat that they've made those.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It still really does show though that you got to be pretty ambidextrous to be able to do stuff like that, and not to mention like you have to have a lot of focus to be doing that like along with like what you're saying.
Exactly.
Like playing around on whatever like you're doing like with her gamepad, and then also conversing and talking and thinking in the chat. That's amazing. I'm getting
and
this person a
thinking
follow.
and talking in the character. She never breaks character, and she does such a great job that I met her at last year's TwitchCon, and so she has Rocco, walking around or whatever, and like I was just like sitting back and watching how she was interacting with people, and people don't even acknowledge her. Like it's Rocco. They're talking to Rocco even though she's right there doing everything. She's so good at it. And
She's like
That's
the
amazing.
Lewis of Twitch people. Like
Yeah,
she's like the ultimate character actor. Like
yeah, and so that's one thing that like character streamers, in my opinion, have had a hard time overcoming is being that whole immersive character, and I wasn't able to do it, so that's one of the reasons why I'm done with it.
well, I will say, like,
I love this. This is awesome.
you mentioned the limiting factor, which I think was really interesting, by the way. Like, people don't get your expressions and stuff like that, and expressions are a really powerful tool for conveying personality and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I can see that, but also one of the limiting factors is, I guess, if it's just a character, you don't get to show things like, the background and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe like people will tune into Morgan's stream, right? And they see the shelves behind. Maybe they recognize something from the shelf, and they're like, "Oh, that's the." This is a Kingdom Hearts thing or a Tales thing or something like that, or they come into my stream and they see BioShock.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess that's, another way of communicating who you are that you might miss out on if it's a character.
I don't know if you've ever used a green screen, but we've talked on this cast before about how like the pros and cons versus using green screen and all. It's like, it gives more immersion and stuff, but like it also takes away part of the streamer, because it's like you obviously have like all the music instruments and the lighting and the posters, and it's like that's another level of conversation. People could come in and be like, oh, it's like you play this and that, and then like they interact that way as opposed to just having green screen and just be like, oh, it's just game.
Exactly. And I'm kind of, I think we're on the same side of the coin here. I think it's better without a green screen. When I very first started streaming, I did use a green screen, but now obviously I don't. But yeah, it's in that same vein. It's just it's more of a conversation piece. It's something that keeps chat moving. It's something where somebody new comes in, will get a little taste of who you are just by looking.
I think the green screen thing, I've sort of mixed feelings about it, because the reality is, of course, there's great streamers who use the green screen. There are great streamers who don't. But I think one of the things about the green screen is it definitely looks more professional in terms of the setup. But
Yes.
Twitch also sometimes lives in little unprofessionalisms, right?
True.
I'm not going to say not making my bed was a at all intentional move or anything, but it did start a few like recurring jokes on my stream and did give people kind of an impression of what like my vibe was like,
Exactly.
And personality is a big part of it. So Trev mentioned it. So I've seen the telly before, and I gotta ask about the guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Those are my guitars.
tell me about your musical background.
So in high school, I was in a band, and I was in a band all the way from high school to 2009-ish. Did small little tours. Started off as like a hardcore Christian band, We were only Christian because the only places in my small little town that I grew up were to practice and play were churches. So we had to be a Christian band to be in those buildings.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not, but lead singer was, so was the in on that. And then I moved from my small little town to the Phoenix metro area here in Arizona to pursue music, and had a little bit of success. Like I said, we did a couple tours, played with some pretty big bands. Played with like Lydia, the Maine, Ann Arbor. Kind of was in that same group of bands coming up. And got out of that in, like I said, 2009. I was a bass player originally. I was a bass player because I wasn't good enough to be a guitar player, and I still wanted to be in the band, so I picked up the bass. And then I got the Telecaster from my brother as a Christmas gift, and the Epiphone acoustic is just one that I've had for a while, and I play off and on. Like every once in a while, I'll do like they turn into drunk streams, but it's me just playing Rocksmith and just rocking out and being drunk and just playing games.
So the audio setup for the, like, if you're gonna play guitar on stream, so like, okay, so me personally, I have my S500 into a Boss amp, which goes into my Scarlett interface. But I know there's a lot of different ways of doing it. What's your setup, and was there a lot of experimenting that led to getting the right thing that sounded the way you wanted?
No, my guitar's setup is super simple, and it's because I don't actually like ever play guitar. Like if I play guitar on stream, I'll just bust out the acoustic and play something like that.
Oh,
I
okay.
can pick it up. And if I play electric, it's always through Rocksmith, so that's just a quarter-inch into a USB into the game,
and then it's all digital from there, right?
Digital at that point. So I do have an amp. I if I wanted to, I could bust out the amp, put it to a mixer, and then put it into my Go XLR so everybody could hear it. But no, I haven't done that yet.
Right, yeah. I don't know how often you do it on stream, so maybe that's the overhead on that setup is a lot.
I don't think he's gonna be taking his drunk ass and like grabbing a amp. He's just living in the moment.
Wonderwall? I don't actually know Wonderwall, and actually right now,
neither. All right, everybody requests it all the time.
How do you not know Wonderwall?
I can sing along to Wonderwall all day long.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. I can pull up the chords and play it, but like the acoustic right now, the strings are so old on those right now that they stink, and I would have to tune it, and so there's no amount of points to be redeemed for that. I actually haven't done playing a guitar stream in a really long time. I was still character at that point when I would do it, because when I was a character streamer, I had the Bradley aspect to it, because Cazzler was a dog that lived inside of my head, and he plugged into my brain to take control of my body. That's why we always sounded the same, and so there was kind of two characters in that stream, and I built it that way specifically so I could get out of it if I wanted to, or switch back and forth. So I haven't done a guitar stream in forever. I still play them, like the electric I played a couple days ago. You guys
Question: does Cazzler the dog, did he play guitar?
He did. I actually had an animation for him to play the guitar.
That's pretty amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, he would pull out the guitar and it would just strum the whole time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Me too. I like how I love lore, and the fact that you have like lore behind the character, like I think that's sick.
Yeah, there was actually that was purpose. That was on purpose. I had a lot of lore behind him just because I wanted, when I streamed as me, I wanted there always to be a reason why things were happening. Like I know in cartoon world, Bugs Bunny could get his shot at 1,000,000 times and still live, but like I wanted there to be reasons behind everything with Cazzler. And yeah, he had a guitar. He played a Stratocaster upside down, like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, like Hendrix. Yeah.
Since you said that about like making sure that your characters have like backstory and reasons for why that happens, I'm assuming you've played Skyrim or something along the lines of like an RPG where you create a custom character and then go out and you choose different paths and be in like whatever. Are you the same in that aspect in those games? Like if you like play a game like Skyrim or something and you pick elf and like decide to be a mage or whatever, do you stick to the path and like only do lore stuff that would fit your character?
Yeah, the only type of game that I played like that would be D&D. So I've done D&D and I was a bard. So yeah, I would stick to that. Like whenever in storytelling, I always want things to make sense. But I also really enjoy improv, so it's kind of a two hands on that whole situation. But yeah, I would always follow that storyline or whatever.
That's really interesting actually. The a side note, I think one way as well to keep games like that fresh, like Skyrim, is I was saying this recently. Of course, like the classic thing is mods, but I've had a lot of friends who recently are doing like role playing playthroughs, like actual role playing, where they're like, I'm gonna role play as this character and I'm not gonna deviate from it, and it totally changes the game as a result.
Yeah, I've actually never played Skyrim, but in that kind of that sense is I've always wanted to do Grand Theft Auto roleplay, but also like when I'm playing EFT, sometimes if I'm a scav, I'll have a backstory to the scav. Like all the scavs on the map are all getting ready to go to one scav's wedding, and if I start killing off the scavs, then I'm accidentally taking out groomsmen, and how pissed he's gonna be at me. And so like I'll do little stories like that throughout it.
I'm sure you know them, but we also had recently on this cast K-Apocalypse. She was actually really into GTA RP, so if it was something you wanted to get into, she'd be the one to like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm a little. I mean, all the RP players that I've ever seen, they all do such an amazing job that I'm almost a little timid to do it. Like I want to do it in a small little controlled setting first, just so I don't look like a complete nerd, and try to do it that way. So it is something that I want to do. I've always being an actor is like always been kind of like a secret. If I could have done this, I would have loved to have been an actor, but I've always felt like if I was going to be an actor or do any kind of RP or anything like that, I would have to like be the method actor and fully commit, just like forget who I am and be that person. So I've always wanted to do it, but I'm also very scared to do it.
Be like Daniel Day-Lewis and building a cabin in the middle of the woods to prepare for
Oh my
Lincoln.
goodness. Or Daniel Day-Lewis when he walked around in his outfit from Gangs of New York and got pneumonia.
Or all that garbage Jared Leto always does when he's playing something.
Yeah. I was just gonna bring that up, and I was like, oh, we don't need to talk about that.
Shia LaBeouf, all of them.
Yeah, the method actors are a mixed bag.
I think I heard about this too. Like, is it true that he actually got his chest tattooed for that new movie that he's in?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that war movie that he did, he actually pulled out his own tooth and cut his face for it.
Yeah,
that's
I
a little
actually
extreme, buddy.
like a bit of a side rant, I guess, but like I actually kind of get bummed out when stuff like that happens. Not like for them, like it's up to them to do what they want with their own teeth, but I think like part of what I hear around like when it's Academy Award time, people are like, well, look what this actor did and look what this actor did. I'm like, it's acting, it's not a macho contest. Unlike who can endure the most pain or be out in the cold for the longest,
or
like,
who can lose the most pounds, like
gain
the most pounds.
Exactly. It's like it's performance, and it's great when you're you have someone like Christian Bale who's willing to go the extra mile and lose 1 million pounds to be in The Machinist, and then gain 1 million pounds to play Batman. But like, it's not really that's extra theatrical. Like that's just like that's something he decides to do.
If I was getting paid like they were and had the time to do all that shit, you need me to drop 60 pounds? Done.
Yeah.
Done. How much you paying me?
That's actually one of the things that got me about when The Revenant came out, because everyone's like, did you hear what Leo did? Like, actually did? Like, did all these own stunts? And I'm like, okay. Good.
I feel like that's much more for like the enthusiasts of people, because it's like you can tell someone who's just like a casual like watcher of stuff, and then it's like, oh, okay, and like that's kind of like new to them, so it's not really like they don't know how to handle that. And then if you're talking to like someone who's like an actual actor or actress, it's just like, oh shit, like
Sigh, that's true. The interacting is less crazy. Yeah. It was focused on the acting. It's a great thing about stage actors. They're focused on their craft. So I've got to ask. So we were talking about this a little briefly before the podcast started, but I was saying how, some streamers, when they start out very rudimentary setup, right? Like the most basic thing, whatever the limit, like whatever they can afford or below is what they go for. Some streamers prefer to save up and start with the setup. You obviously have a really nice audio and visual setup. I know there was obviously the character streaming portion, but how is your mics and stuff like that improved over time? And was it just a result of the necessity for character streaming?
No. When you're speaking just audio, I think if you are a new streamer, is the first thing you should invest in.
Yes, I think.
If I go into a stream and the audio is trash, I will leave that stream.
Yeah, same.
I've actually said that before too, because like I absolutely would stick around for people who maybe are having some dropped frame issues. Because the thing is, as long as like you can understand kind of what the gist of the game is going on with, is fine. But if somebody's cutting in and out, you have no idea what they're saying, because at least they can talk through the dropped frames.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, so audio was something that I struggled with, because audio's a bitch, man. Audio sucks.
Yeah. No, it's fine. You can cuss on here.
You can cuss on here.
We marked it as 18 plus. It's fine.
Okay, good.
Be free.
Audio sucks because like you could have it all mapped out in your brain, perfect, but then if like a cable is resting on another cable that it shouldn't be resting on, you'll get a buzz in it. And especially going with the SM7B, originally I needed the cloud lifter, and so it was like when I was talking, it was like, so audio has always been a bane of my existence for sure. I feel like I've just now in the last year and a half really kind of dialed it in, because I got the SM7B, but then getting the EQ on a regular mixer was really hard. But I found a super easy fix. If anybody out there is using a mixer with a XLR mic, the easiest way to make it sound good is turn up your highs all the way, your mids all the way down, and your lows all the way up, and that will immediately get you your studio like quality sound. And then just making sure it doesn't peak. One thing that I've always tried to do with audio is always monitor myself. Like with my music background, I always had monitors to hear the background vocals and stuff, and other guitars. So like I always need to hear myself. So that was always a thing that I always wanted to try to get. But with mixers and trying to split the signal, it was always delayed, and that little delay throws off your brain. So it's always been hard. Audio's always been hard.
I know what you mean by that
make
too,
it a super easy fix.
Because like right now, because I have an AT2020 that I'm not using at the moment, because I just set up my PC like a few days ago, so I hooked up my headset mic.
Actually sounds it's good. You're not peaking, which is huge.
That's a huge.
That's for a headset mic. That's really good, honestly.
Yeah.
Morgan's has really good sound.
And I this is a really old headset too. It's like 3 years old. And I need to hook up my other one too, but like one of the things that I really like about it is that it has mic monitoring. I can hear myself right now, and I got used to not having that for a while since I had started using the other mic. But now, like that I have been using this, I'm like, well, I might as well just turn that on so I can hear it. And now I'm like starting to be like, I really miss this, because like
every person that I've always like preached to it, like try monitoring. Everybody who's tried it has always told me like I can't do it now without it. Especially in streaming, like you need to know what you sound like.
That was a big transition for me, actually, because when I actually don't use monitoring at the moment, but in radio I used it all the time and couldn't be without it. Yeah. But I think also one of the things you get a feel for, well, with a stationary mic at least, is you do get a feel for your own mic discipline after a certain amount of time, like where to be. So if you watch one of the things, if for anybody in the chat, watch a musical performance of a really experienced band. Like a great example is actually Incubus, and like watch the mic discipline of the singer. Notice how when he projects, he leans back and stuff like that. Like they to a certain extent, all these bands have professional sound people, but like they help their sound people by doing that. And I think that
they do. Actually, another musician that's really good at it He's an old musician. Is Joe Cocker.
Joe Cocker. Yeah.
Joe Cocker was really good at doing that.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Also for the uninitiated on the microphone thing you mentioned, about the cloud lifter, the SM7B that Kaz has there and a lot of streamers have is very low volume. It's a very quiet mic, but it's a very nice mic. In fact, it's still to this day marketed as the microphone that Michael Jackson recorded Thriller on.
That's what I tell everybody all the time. I'm like, it's the Thriller mic, baby.
Despite the fact that countless top-selling albums have been recorded with SM7Bs since then, that's the one that gets used still. But it's very low gain, so a lot of people use a cloud lifter, which is a tiny little thing that you plug in, and it gives you a whole lot of extra lift on your sound. I always thought that cloud lifter was a vape product.
It might be. There might be something out there that's a cloud vape.
Yeah. But yeah, like now I'm starting to get used to this again. I really do like having it. Like the reason why I took it off in the first place was because, you know, like eventually you get kind of sick of having this like right in front of your face. Yeah. So it's nice to have something, you know, like just right here that you can have. And I don't know if anybody else feels like this at times, but like when my ears like are muffled, like I feel like I have to talk louder, and I know I don't have to, but I end up talking louder anyways because I can't hear myself as well. So by proxy, I'll just start talking louder, and now I feel like I'm not talking as loud, and so like it's annoying.
We'll definitely set up mic monitoring for you on your 2020, Morgan. That's definitely one of the things we're going to get to.
Well, Cazzler mentioned that like it's such a pain to monitor audio.
I had a hard
audio stuff. It's because everything was changing. Like there's like different factors, like outside and like inside, and like in your actual space. Like if you have
Windows updates.
Yeah,
always got me.
It's just like.
Oh no, Windows updates.
Oh, Zippy was just talking to us about Windows updates yesterday.
Windows updates always got me. I would finish a stream on like Monday.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Windows updates work perfectly every time.
Said
no one ever.
Windows update on Tuesday, and then Wednesday would just be everywhere.
Purdy called me out. Purdy, I'm getting a copy of that picture. They so
actually
don't worry.
Like full disclosure, Rory actually does have a picture of us on his desk back home in Ontario.
Well, technically he has a picture of it anywhere. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Can I have one? I'm gonna put one right there.
You can
Purdy
print the Yu-Gi-Oh! card
Morgan has the picture of us there, and I have a big poster of BioShock.
Is that a Zelda poster on the other side too?
That is a Wonder Woman poster.
Oh, okay.
On the other side for the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I actually have this room there's posters all around. I've been thinking about swapping which ones are over there. I have a really nice Alice in Wonderland poster that I might put there. Like based on the literature, not on any of the films or anything like that.
Oh yeah, my Zelda poster is up there too. So I have a Breath of the Wild one right up there. Although the light's kind of in the way now, but and I got a Mario one right there. I gotta put up more on my posters because I have a million of them.
So I know.
Zippy says it actually is a vape product. Zippy said
joking.
I'm not surprised.
It's a flavor for a shitty disposable pen company.
It's free real estate is what those people were thinking.
Yep.
Ghost. You guys are mean, you know that?
I guess this is just gonna be the roast Rory stream.
Apparently, damn, we started off right from the get-go too. Trev started it.
I did not know it was going to evolve into this. Right?
Ooh, sorry. I'm on carpets. Like when I try to go forward, it's
you
annoying.
don't move. Yeah, I'm also on carpet, so it's like I just try not to move.
Also.
So, Kaz, I know you've delved into some other platforms of creation and talked about that in the past. The idea of sort of like pairing Twitch with other, creative outlets, whether it be YouTube or something else. We've talked about that a fair bit actually on the podcast. We've had some different people on with some different experiences. What are your personal experiences and opinions on like linking a Twitch with a YouTube and trying to put time into both?
I think that right now, the way that Twitch is set up, especially with the discoverability, that the only way to really grow on Twitch, if you're just a regular person, regular entertainer, is by making content on other platforms, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, what's something else? Those are the ones that I really mess around with.
Because
and-
it's ultimately networking, like through different platforms and like.
It's so YouTube and TikTok specifically are made for discoverability. Like if you could have no subs, no nothing, but as long as you nail the algorithm with your stream title, your thumbnail, the content, how much time people will watch it, you will get promoted. And that same goes with TikTok. And then of course, then you tell those people, hey, I stream on Twitch, and the conversion rate on YouTube is better than it is on TikTok. Right now, TikTok, I think it's 1 in 1,000 views, you get another viewer to your stream. And I know what YouTube's is, but I don't have it in front of me right now, but it's better. So I always suggest that you need to do that. Now I suggest it, but I personally haven't nailed that yet. Like when I was doing character animator stuff, I did make content on YouTube and did get some traction going on that, but it was more like, this is how you set up this and this is how you do that, which I can still do, but it's not relevant to my stream now. So I haven't done much on YouTube. I think the hardest part, at least for me personally, on that kind of stuff is coming up with the content. I really just don't know what to do. I have no direction on that stuff. So I have done some YouTube and I have done some TikTok. My TikTok's actually not doing so bad right now. So
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is really cool actually. So TikTok is something I'm like turbo unfamiliar with. But like I know that it is real and I know what it is. But I think you're the first streamer I've spoken to who's mentioned about like drawing a connection there actually.
Yeah. As long as you can get, some people have their reservations with TikTok because of who they're owned by, and then all of this like spyware conversations that they have with it. A lot of it's been debunked with the spyware stuff, but in my opinion, like if you have Facebook on your phone, your shit's getting looked at anyways. So it doesn't worry me. The good thing about TikTok is their algorithm is made to make you go viral. Like I made a video, that's actually probably one of my last YouTube videos was on TikTok about like how much watch time. There's over 800 million users on it now. Like I posted a video, it was just a stupid video of me throwing a grenade in EFT, and it got over like 3,000 views, and like nothing on my Twitch has that many views. And it's literally made to make you go viral. So if you have a good looking video that is engaging, you will get follows from it. So I think TikTok, as long as it doesn't get taken down, I think TikTok is probably the next like wave for streamers that they need to be jumping on. Like I'm doing a lot of research on. I have a full. I'm one of my teams. One of the other teams that I'm on is called Helping Hands, which is with a guy named Skullstream. He was on Dark Forces before it was kicked off Twitch.
Cool guy. Thank you so much. Sorry, carry on.
No, you're fine. And so he has all this great information on it and these case studies on it. And so there's a lot of information that's coming out about TikTok right now. And I personally think that streamers need to be on TikTok.
There's a content creator I follow. She just started a TikTok 3 months ago and went to 1 million followers within 3 months.
Yeah.
And then she was basically doing a DIY home makeover project and was chronicling it through TikTok. And then she had like the number 9 trending video on YouTube like last week, just from within 3 months. So like I totally see that discoverability thing real. Like where there's real numbers behind that.
Real numbers. There's 3 case studies that I recently was taking a look at, and all 3 of them, like all 3 of their Twitter presence was like nothing. Like they probably had max 300 followers, all of them. And then you go to like Sully Gnome and you look at their progression with Twitch, and then you could pull the metrics from TikTok, and it correlates perfectly. Like as soon as their TikTok starts getting bigger and bigger, then you'll see their Twitch get bigger and bigger. And all 3 of them were sitting probably for the last 6 months, or all last year. They're all sitting congruent around 15 viewers. And in the last 3 to 6 months, all of them have blown up on TikTok, and it ports over. Like one of them just got partnered, and it's all happened in like the last 4 to 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, TikTok is.
Excuse me, downloading TikTok. Just kidding.
And
Could do
honestly,
that.
TikTok is addicting, man. TikTok is super addicting.
Or you could go to yourfollowers.com if you want to be famous right now.
Yeah, don't do any of that shit, please.
Oof.
Low-key download it. Mr. Rush,
By the way, Noah, we really appreciate that, by the way. You all are very sweet.
Only gamer.
Only gamers.
Like I'm in the new OnlyFans.
There's a new one that just came out. It's called Twitch Growth, and I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos on it, like YouTube ads.
Oh,
And
God.
It's like, just sign up for this and sit back and watch your stream grow. And it's like, no. And then you go to their
How it
webpage.
works.
Yeah, and they have like a testimonial area where there's a video of a bunch of, they're supposed to be streamers, but they don't give out any of their names. And then there's like a little testimonial panel where it like shows names of people that went from this number to this number, and you go look up all those names on Twitch, and none of them exist.
Yeah, exactly. Also, is it just
Yeah.
me, or are all scam websites designed by the same guy? Because they all have the exact same page
They
layout.
never
When you
switch it
click
up.
on a YouTube ad,
It's the same
like-
cookie cutter layout
WordPress.
every time.
yeah, no, yeah, literally. I miss the super muscular dude who used to eat sushi with a fork and told me I could lose weight by eating whatever I wanted. I miss that guy. He was the shit back in the day.
You were talking about back in the day. I miss Miss Cleo. Nobody knows who Miss Cleo is?
What is?
I'm very young.
Miss
so I
Cleo
don't
was
know.
the fortune teller.
Hold on.
I'm
looking at it.
googling this.
The name
Oh my god,
sounds
did I just
super
show my
familiar.
age?
Oh
It
my
makes
god, no, I do
Did
know
I just
her.
show my age?
No, yeah,
I don't
absolutely
know who
her.
this is.
Oh, Miss Cleo. Okay, so this dates back to probably late 90s. Miss Cleo was a call-in fortune teller. And she was like, come in, I'll tell you your fortune. And like just very, very loud personality. And like 3 years in, it found out, like she came clean. She was like, yeah, I can't do any of this shit. And she scammed a lot of people's money.
Hey, yeah.
I like how she came out with it though in the end. Like she made her money and then she got out of it. She was like, yeah.
Yeah, I can't do
Like,
any of this
It's
stuff.
like, yeah, I'm full.
Okay, so that's exactly the time I should know who that is, but I don't.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, I feel like I missed out.
Like, now I know I'm older than all of you.
I actually, one of the things that's kind of funny about this is that I remember that I definitely remember her, but one of the other things I remember is on a show called That's So Raven, they actually made fun of that at one point.
I think that's
Okay.
why I
on
know
that
it too.
Because on that show,
Yeah.
she's a psychic, and so they had her do that on that too.
I feel like I
I-
should know who this is, but I think I just missed it.
I think that if... Wait, Melly, how old are you?
I am a millennial, an old millennial.
Okay. You're no, not an old millennial, an elder millennial.
I'm sorry, an elder
You're
millennial.
elders, all right? So if you watched it, then you would probably like
I mean, it
something in the
looks
back of your brain would be like, "Oh crap, I've
It
heard that
look,
before."
she looks familiar. I just I didn't recognize her name.
See, I feel so. Like I was born in '92, and generally, if something was in the late '90s, I at least know about it. So I feel like this is like a weird gap somehow that I like. I feel almost
might have been
robbed
changed
of the
for,
opportunity to have.
It might have been changed for Canada, because like
Oh, that's another good point. We occasionally do come
Oh.
up on a cultural thing where there's like a show or whatever that was on a different network here or wasn't as popular here.
my
Or sometimes the
favorite,
reverse.
title for us is Beast Wars, and in Canada it's called Beasties.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was
They
like,
didn't allow the
what?
word wars in a Canadian children's television show in the title, so they renamed it Beasties when it came to Canada, which is terrible.
Something better than
Yeah.
Beasties.
They really could have. Like, that's not a good name at all.
Beast Squad or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something I would. Yeah, like they could have gone with anything.
Beasties sounds like absolutely something else. Like, no.
Yeah. Vote no on prop that,
Hey,
please.
they literally just like heard the name. We're like, all right, cool, we could run with that. First person. I was just like, what? Like, no.
But yeah, well, the classic one we always come up with is in Canada. One of the big popular television children's shows was Reboot in the '90s, and a lot of Americans missed out on Reboot.
Yeah, that doesn't ring a bell to me either.
It was like
I
characters
see. I
that were
watched
in it.
Reboot. I watched
There we
Reboot.
I don't know
go.
what that is.
There we go.
I don't know how we got Canadian TV, but
Zippy and Melly are the only two Americans I've met who I think Morgan. Or,
honestly, I'm glad that you watched it because
a little bit of
it feels like something I made up. Do you know what I mean? Because like when I remember the show, because I'm like that's what I learned. What Mainframe wasn't the city they lived in called Mainframe or something?
That's right. The city was called Mainframe, and all the characters were named after like computer shit. So there was like hexadecimal and megabyte.
Megabyte. That's literally how I learned those words, is because of that show. Yeah. But then I feel like it was something that I made up in my brain because nobody else has heard of it.
It's so good too because the plot is that like people who play computer games are evil. Because like there'd be all these like innocent computer people walking around, and then a game would come down, and they have to fight for their lives as like bad guys in this game as NPCs. And occasionally they just like stragglers would roll in, right? Like the background NPCs and like a and then they get shot like NPCs often do in like GTA or whatever. And it's like the people are the bad guys.
So what they were actually saying is what this game actually was then to what it sounds like to me is that they were trying to deter children from playing games by trying to tell them that, hey, if you play these games, you're going to hurt all of these innocent NPCs.
That was basically what it was like. They humanized code. And we don't know why the user keeps inputting games. And it's like, oh god, like it makes it sound like they make people just sound genuinely evil. And it was actually like quite scary. There'd be this big purple cube that would come down in the middle of the morning.
Come out of the sky. Yeah,
it's like
damn.
It's terrifying.
I remember Mr. Rogers. I watched Mr. Rogers all the time as a kid, and when he died, I cried. I saw it on the news and I started bawling.
Oh,
see, I never saw Mr. Rogers on TV.
I loved Mr. Rogers. It just is such a Barney guy. See, I loved Mr. Rogers. I loved Barney, but like Mr. Rogers, like that's one of those shows where like I hear it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, and I just start like getting emotional. I'm like, it is a beautiful day in this neighborhood.
They grew up on Power Rangers that was like deemed too violent, and like they were all like, yeah, no, it's.
Power Rangers was solid. There was also well, in Canada we had Mr. Dress Up. He was our Mr. title person. He used puppets to communicate things.
Mr.
So yeah, we had a slightly different. We had like an equivalent. I think we also did have Mr. Roger.
Oh, Mr. Dress Up looks nice. I just googled him.
I know Mr. Dress Up was great. They
Comfy Couch. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I remember Comfy. I remember that name. I don't know. I don't remember watching
it. Comfy Couch I watched. I definitely remember that one. Did anybody watch Puzzle Place? Anybody remember that one? I loved that show.
That one doesn't ring a bell to me.
Mr. Dress Up, yeah, absolutely seems like so you said this was in Canada? This was a Canadian show?
Yeah, Mr. Dress Up is Canadian. That's right. Yeah.
I absolutely feel like this was like an equivalent to Mr. Rogers, and they absolutely would have been friends.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I would have loved to see like an episode of them like calling each other. Like that would have actually
squad streamed.
Oh, absolutely. No, that would be the best crossover ever. Fuck the Justice League. I want Mr. Rogers and Mr. Dress Up and the
actually too. Like that would have been a really good episode to like teach kids about like I have a friend. Like we call him Mr. Dress Up, and he lives in another country, and we're gonna talk to him today. He's from Canada. I'm a elementary substitute teacher, so like anytime things come up about like books or like kids books or like kids shows or something, like I go nuts about them. Oh my goodness.
Kaz, have you ever been to Canada before?
I have not, no.
Oh really? You gotta go.
Furthest north I've got is Seattle.
Oh, right on. Me and Morgan have actually been thinking about planning a trip to Seattle. When trips start to become a real concept in the human world.
Not just ideal and like.
I've had opportunities to go, but I just never really pulled the trigger. Like some friends that I grew up with, they all were Canadian. I know I called them my friends, but I couldn't tell you exactly where they were from in Canada. But I do have a lot of Canadian viewers too, so.
Yeah.
Quite a few Canadian streamers on Twitch as well. It's it's pretty interesting actually.
There's actually a bit of a.
I just love Canadians apparently.
There is also like a more like official Canadian stream community and stuff like that, but I haven't really interacted with that much. Like I just sort of like, I mean, I started of course
You're
on
not
Twitch because
embracing your roots, Rory. You need to be more.
yeah,
into
apparently
it.
not. But I do run into a lot of Canadians just by chance. And I think time zones. Canada's pretty nice. Well, I mean, I'm a biased source, but I'll agree with that. For what it's worth, Kaz, if you ever do go, I recommend Ottawa, which is the capital
that's what I was
city.
gonna say.
Everybody thinks it's Toronto, but it's Ottawa.
West or East Coast?
It's middle.
That's East Coast.
Middle. Okay.
And
Oh,
so
well,
Go to a.
it's more eastern. It would be East Coast if you were to draw a line down to America.
yeah.
Okay.
It would be the East Coast of America, but it's more like Central Canada if you
But,
like number the provinces on each side.
Go to
Um,
Quebec. They do wild shit over there. They're not really part of Canada.
Oh my god.
But Ottawa has like a lot of the big city amenities of Toronto, like the great restaurants and the museums and such.
Mhm.
But none of the ever. I'm not sure how many big cities you've been to or lived in, but it doesn't have that ever present. All these buildings are really tall, and I can't see a damn thing feeling
Yeah.
that Toronto has.
It doesn't because like we went there actually for Valentine's Day for a weekend, and it was very nice. It's
That
a
was
city,
terrific.
but it's very spread out, so everything doesn't feel as on top of you.
Yeah.
It was very pretty, especially during the winter time. It does get cold, but like you could watch people like I almost said figure skating, skating on the canal. It's really cool. Like Rory told me that like they're like kids
That's
it
Niagara
would get
Falls.
so frozen that they would just go ice skating to school quite often. I'm like, that's pretty Canadian.
Yeah, they would ice
That's-
skate on the canal.
That's the
yeah, it was really
Heelys
cool.
of Canada. It's just ice skating. Just
I remember, so since because it's the capital, so like we actually went to the like the Parliament buildings and we
Oh.
walked around, and it was really neat because I'm a big history person, so I love that kind of stuff. But Roy probably knows what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah,
The
I
most
do.
Canadian thing I ever saw in my life was a Tim Hortons cup, still full of coffee, in the snow, just sitting in the snow in front of the Canadian Parliament building in the capital city of Canada. And I was like, this is hilarious.
Canada in a photo. My favorite was during FOCO, which is a big street party in London, Ontario. You don't want to go because it's a really bad place. But it's like so it's like
illegal as hell for
it's
one thing.
one. It's super illegal. It's one street and it's about 25,000 people. And it's there was a guy walking around with a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos. But if you got close to the Doritos, saw he had emptied out all the Doritos, and it was just a bag of Timbits now. It's like, what the fuck?
It's interesting.
No, never been to Canada. I want to travel more, but I'm also more of a homebody. Like I haven't even been to New York, and New York is somewhere that I really want to go.
Is that like your number one like next destination you'd want to travel to?
I would probably pick Hawaii over New York, but like New York
Hawaii's
is
really
definitely
nice. I've been to two
Yeah,
different
I wa-
islands.
yeah. So I want to go to Hawaii, and I kind of want to do like for my honeymoon next year is like the very typical honeymoon where it's just like on the beach eating food as much as I can.
With
That sounds
the
so
situation.
umbrella
nice.
drinks.
Sounds super nice.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a lot.
Tropical location somewhere.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. But like New York is always something that I've wanted to go do. Like I'm a huge Friends fan, so like I want to go to Central Park, and I want to go to Central Park, and I want to go see the.
Don't you know the backstory to the Division game though? Like that's where this is headed.
Oh no, I
my
haven't.
Goodness.
I haven't played the Division.
It's
Is it going to sightsee friends hotspots in New York City? Is that
Yeah, for sure.
the
the
Division
lo-
is basically
backstory?
COVID. So that's
Oh my gosh, Zeph.
Yeah, I want to do all the touristy things there for sure.
The one big thing that I actually want to do that really shows my nerd is I want to go to the Nintendo store.
Oh yeah, that'd be a lot of fun too.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, I went there last year. I think I sent you a picture from that, right?
I was
Yeah.
so
it was with the
excited.
Pikachu. wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I wanna go
Yeah,
see-
it's right in Rockefeller Center. Like there's a whole bunch of stores right in Rockefeller Plaza. And yeah, the Nintendo store is right there. It's amazing. Like I think one of my favorite things about it was they had like every single Nintendo handheld and like every single console that has ever existed, they have them on display there, which is I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish TRL was still being filmed. I'd go do that too.
don't think Zephyr or Zeph was playing D&D with Justin Bieber, and then there's a little stretch.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never
Every
know.
Canadian knows Justin Bieber personally, right? That's how that
That's
works.
true. Yeah. Well, there was a story about Deadmau5 sitting in like he was in a restaurant, and Justin Bieber and like all his like whatever his crew or whatever like security people, yeah, they came into the restaurant, right? And like Deadmau5 is sitting there, I guess probably hoping that Justin Bieber doesn't notice him. And he does, and sits to the table next to him. And Deadmau5 leans over and goes, "Welcome to Canada, first time." Like, because it's like a kind of joke in Canada, I guess, that Justin Bieber is sort of a bit more like not Canadian. But yeah, everybody forgets he's actually from London, Ontario, which I live there. It's not terrific. They not a good place in Ontario to visit. Toronto, great. Ottawa, great. Niagara, great. London, skip it. Go somewhere else.
Maybe also
Go to actual London. Yeah.
Skip Peterborough. Yeah, like don't even take a bus that goes through Peterborough, as me and Morgan learned, because it may just break and you're stuck there.
Totally didn't happen to us.
Yeah.
It did.
It really did. The bus drove around for 45 minutes in a circle, and just stopped. And they're like, "It's broken."
Oh yeah, it was hilarious. So like we were trying to get from like coming back from Ottawa, and we needed to get to Toronto for a connection. And Rory thinks he's hilarious. So, like he was just talking to me about stuff because, you know, he's a PhD student. So like he was talking about like different like things that he was going to be like signing up for and all that. And we were just sitting there, like it literally, like it just kept going in a circle. So it was in the Greyhound station, and it would go out onto the street, or like at first, actually, what it was doing was like reversing backwards and then going forwards and then reversing backwards. For like they did that for like 20 minutes, and then the next 20 minutes, like at one point, they finally do go out into the road, and we're like, oh, thank God, we're finally leaving. And then it just pulled back into the Greyhound station, and I just so like Rory was telling me about like his stuff and. Rory, what exactly did you say? What was the phrase?
Well, I was applying to teach a course, and I said, I'm going to apply to teach that course in February.
Yeah, so he starts saying that. And then at one point, like it comes into, like, onto the road, and then it goes back to the Greyhound again. And I was like, okay, yep, I get it. I'm actually dead, and what's happening is that I am in a constant, forever loop of trying to get out of the Greyhound station in Peterborough. And then Rory looks at me, and he just goes, so I'm trying to apply for these jobs in February. And I was like, don't you dare.
This is your limbo.
I was like, yeah, I'm in limbo right now.
Mario's like, all right, I gotta add this to the lore. Like, we gotta remember.
We ended up getting like it ended up being like we found a really nice pizza place down the road from the bus station, so it ended up being sort of not all for naught, but
yeah,
close.
It was nice.
It
was that was actually pretty funny because we had to get off the bus, and I was like, hey, like I was just joking. I was like, you want to stop down to Jim's Pasta and Pizza? And then we actually did stop at Jim's Pasta and Pizza,
and it was really good pizza.
It was
Jim there?
And sorry,
was Jim there?
I don't know. We didn't get to meet him if he was, which is a shame because we missed out on the only big celebrity sighting in Peterborough. But yeah, we managed to get like we obviously missed our like connecting bus and stuff like that, but we managed to. They sorted it all out rather nicely, and we ended up getting to our destination, which was to stay with Morgan's family. That same night, actually, later that same night.
The kid running the desk was weird AF too. He was pretty funny though, because at one point he was like, "Well, good news, folks! You're gonna be here for another 2 hours because the next bus doesn't come until 7." And he was like, if you guys want to, you could go downstairs, get some food. It's not that good. And he goes, or, you know, you could go down the street to the movie theater down there. I don't know what they're showing. Birds of Prey, I guess. He goes, that's not a good movie. Don't go see it.
It's not a good movie.
He started talking about Detective Pikachu at one point, and I just turned to Rory and I was like, what's going on?
No, there's definitely a guy on his last day. I'm not sure if you've ever encountered somebody on their last day of work, but I had a friend who used to work at like a convenience store down the road, and it was his last day of work, and I remember he like tried the scanner machine once, and it was like through something and it didn't work. He's like, I guess this is free. I was like, yeah.
Oh, and the last thing that we saw him do was he went and got coffee. What did he say exactly to his coworker too, Rory?
Oh yeah, no, he was supposed to bring her back a coffee when he came. We were there for like 2 hours, so we saw the whole like day unfold at this Greyhound station. And he got back and he was like, "Yeah, I didn't end up getting you that coffee. Sorry."
That guy was wild. I was like, this guy should stream. He'd be pretty funny.
I have that last day of work energy every day. That's the dream.
Yeah, that's
my last job. I was on my last day throughout the whole job.
Oh.
Like we all feel that. We've all had that job where we felt that. It was like, oh. I have to ask, if you don't mind me asking this question, Kaz. The only reason I asked is because you mentioned knowing about marketing and stuff like that. Is that definitely? And I know that with the Twitch thing and the TikTok thing, you obviously research. You obviously know your numbers. Like, is that like? Is it your marketing background that gives you that mentality to like really look into do deep dives on things like that?
Yeah, the numbers of Twitch and other platforms are what really like take up a lot of my time in the background because I really enjoy it. I do like making graphics, I do like making videos, all that kind of stuff. That's fun, but the numbers and how they work are what really interests me. So I can have those conversations all day. So yeah, I pay attention to those all the time. I don't like you if you want to recommend to a new streamer, you don't pay attention to your numbers while you're live, but I have a whole spreadsheet about conversion rates and all that stuff that I go through every stream.
Oh, that's awesome! Actually, I think stuff like that is tremendously helpful.
Yeah, I got that sheet. I've added to it and taken some stuff away from it, but I got that sheet from Classy. Classy had a great algorithm in her spreadsheet. I use it every day. Pay attention every day. The trick is like the numbers and being like, okay, so yes, that works. That doesn't work. It's easy to see it in the numbers, but the part that a lot of streamers are struggling to figure out, including myself, is like, okay, so what is about this specific about a content? Like, how do I make that content to put it out?
Oh, so, right, yeah.
Yeah, like coming up with the content is the hardest part.
Right, you struggle with the part that the you can't work the numbers on. Like, you can do all the data science you want, but I guess you ultimately, like, there is that creative component that has to come into it, and that's very hard to force sometimes.
Yeah, because you can't force things. Like with EFT, I could go and start making guides, but like I'm not an expert on the game, so why would you listen to me make a guide that might not be right?
You'd be surprised.
Just add a disclaimer in every video. Like, look, I'm not the best. Like, this may work for you. It worked for me. And like, I don't know. Yeah. And then like afterward, like, if you're still here, cool.
Like, have you ever seen those like honest trailers? Like, it's
I know.
Yeah. So the only idea that I have that I haven't made yet on Tarkov is like honest guides, where like I basically just rip off Veritas. Oh, hey. You guys want to say hi to the raid?
Thank you so much thank you so much for the raid, Vix. For those who are here who don't know Vix, she's on our stream team. Wonderful, wonderful streamer. Link there. Plays all sorts of things. Right now has been working her way through The Last of Us 2, I know, and has played Uncharted, Final Fantasy VII Remake, a whole bunch of different things. Highly recommend. If you're from Vix's and you don't know who we are, technical difficulties, I'm sorry, Ray. It's going around today. A lot of people have been having some tricky technical difficulties today, which is oftentimes how Twitch works, kind of when it rains it pours. But for everyone new here who don't know who we are Streamers Become Human. We're a weekly podcast every Wednesday at 9 Eastern ordinarily, and including today. It's the four of us there on the right, and in the top left there is our guest today, who is Cazzler. And if you want a link to Cazzler's channel, which you can do !current guest. And if you don't know Cazzler, fix that mistake by clicking that link and getting to know Cazzler. And as far as the rest of us go, I'm not going to go through each person introduction, but suffice to say,
everyone is down below. What's that little with a little like bio and everything.
Yeah, you can find a link to our channel and what Trev thinks about us because he wrote the bios.
That was honestly really difficult because like I had to write the bios like as you guys, so I had to like put myself in your guys' shoes, and I was like, oh shit, I was like I need to think of it how they would say it. And
Oh, for real though, you did a really good job.
it
with the
put
bios,
a lot of pressure. I was like, shit. I get this right.
I really enjoyed the bios quite a bit. Sorry, Kaz, carry on with your train of thought that you were working on.
I think we were just like coming up with guides. Like I'm not gonna be able to do that. So the idea that I had was like coming up with honest guides where I basically just not like rip off somebody else's guide, but like I just kind of use their guide and I just give my own little twist of like, don't do this because this sucks, or do this because this it screwed me over this way or whatever. But however it comes together, that was like the only idea that I had with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had this idea that was like, because like we do a lot of hot takes in like all of our communities, and like one of my ideas was gonna be like make a YouTube series of like games that people like love or like it's a lot of like traction and like not controversy, but like it snowballs and like everyone's like talking about it, and then just like go against the masses, just like either shit on it or like love it for those reasons, and then like disable comments so like people would force to watch and they couldn't say anything about it.
Yeah, there's actually a great video on YouTube where I don't know if he's a streamer, but a content creator made a video on Ocarina of Time, and he just bashes it.
Oh wait, yeah. No, I might have seen that actually.
Like animation with it and everything, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. Stuff like that can be pretty. It's funny what Trev said about disabling comments. One of the things there's a lot of stuff, Twitter. I know Kaz, I know you use Twitter. I'm not sure if you're super into it, but you have some activity on there for sure. And I find with Twitter, there's a couple things, like everybody wants an edit button, right? Like that's like the classic thing. But there was one streamer who said, I wish I could have a button like that, just like no one could comment on my tweet or do anything with it or interact with it in any ways. Just like I could hit a button, like I don't give a shit what anyone has to say about this.
It's the don't at me button.
It's the don't at me button, babe. Look, wait, literally, yeah.
That's funny. Don't at me button. I like that.
Yeah, the edit button though, like, yes, give me that. Like, I need that. Somebody like me who needs that. Like, so
They've only requested it for 6 years, and they're like, we'll give you longer tweets. It's like, no one asked for this.
Yeah, longer tweets. Who needed that? We got to tweet longer. So me personally, like, so I'm dyslexic. I was diagnosed with a reading and writing comprehension disability and ADD. So like, I suck at spelling and reading. It's just something that I've accepted. I will never be able to do it, and fuck off with it. So I need an edit button. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
I can hear a little faint
Oh no, don't worry
it's
about
faint.
it.
It's not like super.
Yeah.
Somebody just got home, I think.
I wouldn't know what it was
I
if you did.
exactly know that. Yeah.
A couple of us here have pets, so they're constantly making guest appearances.
Oh,
on
yeah.
the stream.
Pepe has
once
been
in a
on
while,
like almost every stream.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He should just take over the whole thing.
Sometimes my dog Benji will be here. Sometimes my cat Lillian will come up right here and kind of steal the show. My dad's truck is loud as hell, and so like they can hear it coming from a mile away. So like they'll start barking as soon as they can hear it. So I'm like, oh, somebody's home.
Yeah, my dogs will bark, and they're Chihuahuas, so they have really high pitched. So I keep them outside the room when I'm streaming.
Ben's pretty funny because like the way that it works with him is that he's a schnoodle. He's a schnauzer poodle, and he's interesting. He's kind of like a stocky little guy, and it's hilarious because like we'll come home like in the car, and like we'll hear him and our border collie corgi Sunshine, like she'll just do her regular barks, but Benji, he'll be like rah, 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 like all angry, kind of like, who's at my house? And then as soon as I'm like, hi Ben, like he'll be like he's like, oh my gosh. Oh my
Benji's the best. He's adorable.
Oh, he's hilarious. He's kind of crazy. He's very afraid of everything for some reason. He's older. He's like 11 to 12 years old now, and Animal Crossing noises scare him.
Oh wow, even that.
Yep. it's very recent. He's been an anxious dog for a while too, but it's very recent with that because I know for sure it's recent because the Facebook pating that even is scaring him now.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out something that can help him out with it. Right, we've just been like turning down like the sounds basically like whenever he's around. But yeah, he's afraid of the Animal Crossing noise.
Yeah, one of my dogs, she's afraid of everything too. Her name's Ellie, and I named her after Last of Us. But
oh,
she is afraid of everything. She's not brave like Ellie is at all.
Aww.
I think that's
Like,
a thing
you're
with
not
pet
living up
names.
to your potential.
I have a friend who named a cat Zeus, and the thing is the most timid thing you've ever seen. Like, it's definitely not living up to Zeus.
We had a dog.
That's
named,
a lot of pressure
Daisy.
though to live up to Zeus.
we had a dog named Daisy for a really long time, who was a Shih Tzu, and she definitely understood like certain words. I mean, most dogs tend to understand some kind of word like potty, eat, food, treats.
Yeah.
Our dog Sunshine understands everything. Like she knows the difference between her ball and her frisbee. She'll sit and stay. She's hilarious. She's quite the smart little dog. She's only a few years old, but our dog Daisy was a Shih Tzu, and you would just say the word bath, even whispering it. Like you could just look at her and you go, Daisy, do you want a bath? She would turn around and leave. She'd be like, nope, I don't think so. She'd go and hide. Poor thing.
Yep, some dogs are smart, man.
Oh yeah, Sunshine is a little scary.
Yeah, my grandmother. So I grew up with like bloodhounds, blue heelers, and I'm forgetting the breed. They're usually police dogs.
German Shepherd.
German Shepherds?
German Shepherds, yeah. So my grandmother, she trained and showed specifically blue heelers and German Shepherds. So I always grew up with like real dogs that were large and smart and all that kind of stuff. And my ex, she ended up bringing home these Chihuahuas, and I was like, "What the hell? Why are you bringing home Chihuahuas? This is not a real dog." And Bella, the oldest, the princess of them all, she's one of the smartest dogs I've ever met. She barks way too much, but like anything else, she's pretty smart.
Sunshine is interesting. She's like my dad's best friend. She's absolutely adorable. But she's only a few years old. Like I think she's either 4 now or going on 4. And she's interesting because like I said, she knows the difference between like she'll bring me her frisbee. I'm like, that's an inside toy, like, or an outside toy. Bring me your ball. Go bring me your ball, and she'll go get the ball.
Awesome.
And like, I'll hold my hand out like this sometimes, and she'll like, I'll be like, put it here, and she'll put the ball in my hand. The one time that I really was like flabbergasted by it was because like with my dad, like he's like what you said, your dad's like construction worker kind of. My dad is also like he would be up at like 3 a.m. to get ready for work, and he had this very, very big routine where he would get up. Sunshine would get up with him. She knew what time. She even knows what time he comes home. Like it gets around 4 o'clock, and she'll be heading to the stairs to sit on it and wait for his truck to show up in the window. And
so loyal.
She's very interesting. And so like she would walk around with him. He'd go to the bathroom. He'd brush his teeth. He'd come downstairs. She'd let him out, or she'd let him out. She probably could. He'd let her outside to go potty. Let her back in, and she would sit there with like as he's like making his breakfast and his lunch for the day. And I was always like a night owl. Like I'm trying to fix my sleep schedule, but I'd be up when he would be getting up, and so I'd sit and talk to him in the kitchen. And I was sitting on the floor in the kitchen, and he had this like little, like just a little cereal bowl, like to give her water in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there, and I was going like this with my hands, and she comes up to me. And she grabbed it, and she picked it up, and she put it in my hands and stared at me. And I just went,
the whole bowl?
Yeah, the whole bowl. Like I just went like, and I went, Dad, did you see that? Did you see what she just did? And he goes, yeah, she does that all the time. And he was like, she's just telling you that she wants water. And I was like, this is amazing. She's quite the interesting little dog. Like we have like an outside porch, and so we'll go out. Like she'll stay with him. She won't go on the road. She'll find a stick and she'll stay with him. She's very trustworthy like that. Like our dog Benji, we could not let him just go outside. He'd see
the
something.
poodle that you're talking about?
So Benji's the schnoodle.
Okay,
Sunshine, yeah, Sunshine is a border collie corgi.
Okay.
And even like when he's about to go down, like when my dad is about to go down the front steps of our porch, she'll sit there and wait. Like if he stands at the top of those stairs, she'll stare at him and she'll wait, and then he'll just go, okay, come on, and she'll go with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
When he would go to work, he would actually leave his bedroom door a little ajar because my mom would still be sleeping. And when he would leave, he would just go, okay, I'll see you later. Bye. Have a good day. And then she'd just watch him leave. And then a few minutes later, she'd go back upstairs, nudge the door open. It would shut behind her. And then she'd jump into bed with my mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's hilarious.
Sunshine is a genius, honestly.
It scares me sometimes.
Oh, you gotta love dogs.
I feel like someday I'm going to look at her and go, who's a good girl? And she's going to look back at me and in full English just go, I am a good girl.
She's also adorable. She's a super cute dog. Like yeah.
Very afraid of thunder and fireworks though. I mean, most dogs tend to be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
mine are as well.
Yeah. They
every time 4th of July week comes around, I live
4th of July. This was actually not a bad 4th of July though.
For me, it was. Oh my god, we live in a small town. The first time she ever experienced it was we had her outside in our backyard, and we were just standing there. It was the summertime, and our like literal very next door neighbors. So like it almost went off right above us. Let off firework all of a sudden, and Sunny just turned tail and ran right back into the house. And after that, she was just scared of those kinds of noises. Yeah. So thunder sucks. Now, like they hear just a little bit, she'll be like right under my chair.
Thunder buddy.
Yeah.
You thunder.
So we're going to be winding things down now, but we wanted to know from the chat if you have any extra questions for Kaz that we didn't get a chance to get to.
I actually did want to ask too, because you were talking about Legend of Zelda. So one of your first games from Legend of Zelda was Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, well, my very first Zelda game was the original.
Oh, was the original? Okay.
The very first one, yeah. But like I was still young. Like I know that I played through it with my brother, and well, you know, like I said, I was so young that I could have easily just had the unplugged controller while I was playing it. But yeah, that was my first experience with it. But Ocarina of Time is one of the very first games that I completed myself all the way through, by myself. So yeah, so that was one of the ones that just like stuck with me.
What's one of your favorite ones? Like, would it be Ocarina of Time or even Breath of the Wild?
I would say Ocarina of Time just because of the nostalgia for me, but Breath of the Wild is definitely top two. I'm super excited for the next one. Yeah.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Hopefully I won't hype it up as much as I did Last of Us.
See, that's why I want to feel about it too. But at the same time, I'm like, I get to hang out with Zelda, and I really want, I really want that to happen. I actually really liked the port that they did for the 3DS as well. I'm not sure if you ever played that one, but they made that one pretty well too.
Paper was it Paper? No, what was the one where it was like
where he went into the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, that one is actually one of my favorite ones. It's based off of Link to the Past. It's a Link Between Worlds.
That's what it was. Okay, so I did play a little bit of that one and I enjoyed it, but that one was only on 3DS, right?
Just on 3DS, yeah.
Yeah, so I never had a 3DS, so I only played it with like my cousins, but I really enjoyed it.
If you ever get a chance, like Ocarina of Time, what's really awesome now is like back when I first got Ocarina of Time, it was like $50, unfortunately. But then I like that Nintendo does stuff like this because they put it into their Nintendo Selects program. Mm-hmm. And so it will only, like, if they're going to be selling it through Nintendo, like new, it'll only be like less than 20, which is super nice. So if you ever want to get those, I think both of them are in that now, so they're going to be less than $20.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
Really good port of Ocarina of Time too. It looks really nice and plays really nice. Yeah, I love the Legend of Zelda games.
We got a question in the chat about your sleeve. What are the tattoos?
Yeah, is that okay? Are you cool answering questions about that? Okay, yeah.
Of course, yeah. The sleeve is actually a tattoo that I got because of my mother. So in 2016, my mom passed away from mesothelioma, which is lung cancer. She was a smoker most of her life, but the type of lung cancer that she got had nothing to do with smoking. So I don't know if I can show it, but like there's a face in the smoke. I don't know if you can see it. But there's also time hands here, and the time that it's it's pointing to is 5/29, which is her birthday and her time of death. So the idea behind this part of it was like a woman looking through the veil.
That is really neat.
Yeah, and then then there's an owl here, and that's kind of represents my brother, because my brother is a teacher, professor, doctorate, and he's English professor, and he's like the wise one of all of us. And then the dog up top is kind of me, I guess. It's not done yet. I still got to finish the filigree on the top. And then there's the spider that so the whole situation with my mom's cancer was like the first time my brother and myself had like life slapped us in the face. It was like my first experience with death, first experience with like real life shit. And so we always kind of like, you know, life's biting us. So yeah, you probably can't see on the camera, but both the eyes of the owl and the wolf are fixated on the spider, because like now we're aware of it. Now it's fresh in our minds. Now we know about life, and now we can kind of keep an eye on it. So that's the whole idea behind it. But the tattoo artists that I got it from, so my mom had a huge crush on Brendan Urie. And when she was going through chemo, she would just sit there and scroll through Instagram, and she found a picture of Brendan Urie with he's got a tattoo of his wife's eye inside of a flat flower. And it was done by this guy in California. His name's Richie Bond. And so I reached out to him, and I was like, "No, you're this celebrity guy, but will you tattoo my mom's tattoo?" And he said, "Yeah." So I go out to California to get it done, and not done yet though.
That's really neat.
It's like gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and I love
Really
that. Like it's like everything's integrated. And this the whole familial theme.
It's incredible.
It's
work.
really touching too.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist. He's batshit crazy, but yeah, he's really good. Like,
As long as you're good at something, you're
yeah.
allowed to be.
There was this time where he was like going through stuff because he was making his new studio, and he pulled out just a bag of shrooms. He's like, "Oh man, you like shrooms?" I was like, "Yeah, I like shrooms. I've done them in the past. I haven't done them recently, but I've done them in the past. That was fun." He's like, "Yeah, sometimes when I'm working, I'll do it." I was like, "Whoa, what?" Like, what are you talking? You're about ready to do this, you know, my arm. And he just like pops a cap and a stem, and then just started tattooing. So he's crazy. He's really good, but he's crazy and shit. And he's in California, so I haven't been in about a year, but it's rough because it's like I drive out there for it, and then I'm usually in the chair about 6 to 12 hours, and then I'm done, and then it's healing. So like I hate getting tattooed. This isn't my only tattoo. I got a whole back tattoo. I got some on my leg, but I fucking hate getting tattooed.
I'm sure, because I don't have any tattoos, but like all my brothers do, and every time they talk about it, they're like, "Oh my god, I hate it. This is the last time I'm doing that." And then because like all three of my brothers all have sleeve tattoos and back tattoos. One of them has tattoos on his chest, and every time they're like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "I don't know how you did that," but but he was like but all of them like have said like, "Oh my god, like I hate the initial process of having to do it and then having to heal from it, but then having it, they absolutely love it." You'd probably like my brother Mac. He actually has like a whole gaming sleeve, and he has the Majora's Mask on his arm.
Yeah, and that was an idea. I was gonna do my other arm as like a gaming sleeve with all my favorite gaming things, whatever. It'd be a little bit more bubbly. But fuck that. No, I'm not doing it now.
Like I don't want to go through that again.
Not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like I have to force myself to go get this finished. Like I said, the top part isn't done yet up here, and then on the back side right here is not done.
I feel like even though I don't have tattoos, like I know from my brother's tattoos, because especially my brother Lenny, he has really detailed tattoos on him. And like they look gorgeous. Like the one thing about it is that they're gorgeous but expensive, and they take a long time. But that's the thing, like you don't want to be like, I'm gonna spend $50 on this tattoo and then have it be terrible. Like that's the thing, because if you want something really nice looking, like you're gonna have to wait, and you're gonna have to pay up some bucks.
Yeah, I wanted a piece of art. I didn't want just like a cookie cutter. Like, and I have two cousins that are both tattoo artists that I have not gone to because I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's expensive. Like I've probably got at least over $10,000 in my arm. And
Yeah,
it's
no,
just,
good work is very, very, very pricey in the tattoo world. It's one of the
Well,
it's
and
one of
it's
those
gonna
worlds
be
where you
on
actually
you for
do
a
get what
long
you pay
time.
for.
yeah. Same with like computer equipment, camera
Mhm.
equipment. Like you
Yeah.
pay for the quality for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
See, that's the
absolutely.
thing, yeah. My mom, I mean, now she's happy that like I built my own, so we gave her the old PC. But my brother's a programmer, and so like he told her like, listen, like a few years ago, she was like, I have enough money, I want to buy myself a PC, and he was like, no, don't buy a tower, like a pre-built one. Just let me build you one. Just wait. And then she didn't, and then she completely regretted it afterwards.
Mhm.
Because the thing is, it's because it's like you can get this for a little bit cheaper. And what's funny is that if you actually build it, it ends up being cheaper anyways. People just don't think about that. But it's quick because you don't have to build it yourself, and you can just have it pre-built and just get it and then use it. But the thing is that it ends up not being very good quality. Like you could buy all the parts separately and build it yourself, and then you have a PC that would probably last you longer than the one that you could just get pre-built.
Absolutely, and you've added a new skill into your repertoire, and I also think there is like a sort of ineffable like quality of ownership as well. Like there's like it's like when you make your own meal, you know what I mean? When you cook for yourself, there's like different feeling on eating that, and just like when you build your own PC, there's a different feeling. Or at the very least, like Morgan says, get someone you know who knows how to build to do it. Like I just finished a new build for my dad, who was in the exact same boat as Morgan's mom. Like didn't wait for me to build the PC, so went ahead and got one himself, and now he's like, this damn thing is awful, can you build me one? And I was like, yes, but it cost more money than it had to because now he bought 2 computers.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually just recently did that with my cousin, where my uncle and my aunt wanted him to like learn a skill on it. So like they're like, we're not buying this PC for you to put it together. You tell us what to buy, and you sit down with him and you show him how to do it. Make him build it. And he's like 12 or 13. So
that's great though. Like likewise, I mean, I was on a Discord call with Morgan when she was building hers, and her brother was there. One of her brothers was there, like actually like helping out with like holding stuff. Morgan did the vast majority of it, of the actual actions of building it on her own.
Yeah.
Same with Tiff when I was over at Tiff's house helping her build hers. Like she did a lot of the actions herself, which is tremendously helpful.
And like I know a lot of people think it's like something that they won't be able to do, but I literally just bought all the parts, watched a video, and just kept rewinding to the parts so I was in sync with it. I did it. It works. It's fine.
Yeah. It was the thing is they're made to be put together is the thing. It's not, you're not working against the current, right? Like they were designed so that you could do
anything wrong. Like if you're trying to put RAM in like the PCIe
the wrong way,
you know that's not where it goes. Like
yeah, exactly. They
and it's always fun when people say like, I would never be able to do that. It's like, well, you're not going to be able to until you at least try it.
Yeah. That's
and like now
that's
I do
one thing
feel a lot
like
better
the
about it.
family always does. Like I'm sure everybody in our age group has the older family member. It's like, can you do this for me? Because I don't know how. We like just YouTube it. YouTube it.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I'd like record. There's a website that was like just Google it or something like that. Where
let me Google that for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I started always sending that to people, being like, how do you do this? There you go.
Oh my God! It was
the way that I found out about that site was because when I was building my first PC, I reached out to my buddy. I was like, "Yo, man, how do you do this?" And he just sent me that. Like, oh, okay, all right. Well,
that was always really funny with me because I used to work at GameStop, and I would have people calling my store. And for one thing, like I actually had somebody. I would help. I would help the best that I could. I don't know everything, but like I actually did have somebody call one time, and they had some really big issues with their Xbox One. And I was like, I mean, I can try to walk you through it. And they're like, I mean, you're the Xbox technician. That's what I call it. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not. I'm not an Xbox technician. I don't know what you're thinking. But like some people would call me and ask for help. And I'd be like on the iPad that they had for the store. I'm just Googling this shit. Like, that's all I'm doing. And I would tell them that. I'm like, listen, I just went on to Google. I went on to Google and that's what I did. Okay.
That's half the thing is really doing that. Like anybody can do that themselves. I do recommend that. Yeah, like people try to have like a central like good practice video when they're first building or something, or like good practice story, because you can get into some bad habits. I had a boss who used to, when he put together the PCs for the lab when we were doing like high intensity computation, he never plugged in front LEDs on any of the PCs he built, and it drove me up the fucking wall. because you could never you couldn't look at it and tell if it was on, right? Especially because they were all in these be quiet cases and stuff like that. And that was incredibly aggravating. So one day I just started taking apart the PCs in the lab and plugging in the front LEDs. Follow a video on that. Don't be like my old boss. That's the world.
I did that on my first build with the front USBs. Like I didn't hook up the USB hub, so like the front USBs on my PC never worked.
Yeah. Well, it can be a pain in the ass, right? To be fair, like to you, like sometimes you're like, do I want to plug in all these cables? I just put this thing together. Maybe I just want to start it and play video games now.
Well, you put it together. Now you need to install Windows and wait for all the drivers and
yeah, exactly.
It can be interesting too, because like the way that my brother is, and my brother Mac is super cool, and he was like, it was so easy for him to help me because all I did was I messaged him. I was like, hey, all my PC parts are here. And he's like, okay, cool. I'll come by tomorrow morning to help. And he got here and he even was like, now I'll put the CPU in for you. And I was like, I can try to do it. But everything else though, he was like, I'm just going to walk you through it. You're going to do it. So you know how to do it now. And then at the end, he was like super pleased. Like, you just built yourself your first PC. How do you feel? Like,
yeah,
you really did.
It was
great. Yeah.
It was fun. And it was nice to, well, we would have liked to have Rory there, but due to circumstances we couldn't. But like it was nice to have Rory there too. But I have a really good relationship with my brothers, so it was just nice to hang out with Mac also.
Have a great night, Zeph. They I was there in video on Discord. We were using Discord video. That was how I interacted. Winding down now. First of all, Kaz, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was an absolute blast having you here.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Melly.
Thank you so much.
That time went by quick.
It really always does. It used to be a lot longer of a podcast.
Yeah.
But it was not a sustainable because now podcasts start. It's they're 4 hours when you start, and you're like, okay, it's I'm tired and hungry.
The original goal when we first started this, I was like, all right, we'll shoot for an hour. And then the first episode ended up being 3 and something, and we're like, oh well, we overshot that.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny.
Podcasts are fun. I agree, Muerto. Well, we've been doing this one for this is episode 37. We've been doing this one for 40. Yeah, I mean we're gonna be coming up on a year, dangerously soon.
Yeah, very soon actually.
Which is pretty cool.
You guys been doing this for years? That's crazy.
No, we just started. We're not at a year yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're almost at.
Oh yeah,
where we're at. This is episode 30. What?
37.
Okay. So what? I mean, I don't mean to drag out anything, but how long? What made you guys want to get into doing podcasts?
Trev was drunk.
Trev's idea, and he was drunk. Yeah.
I was drinking. All right. We started playing games, and then I was just like, we all played certain, because since we all got into PC gaming at the same time, we just played games a lot together. Because it was, well, not Rory, because he obviously had been in PC gaming earlier, but he was one of the people who were just like, oh yeah, well we'll play with you, we'll show you how to do this and that, but yeah, we all just started playing together consistently, and then we started building that rapport, and I was just drinking one day, and I was like, you know what would be a good idea? I was like, if we started a podcast.
I flirted with the idea, but I've never been able to pull the trigger, so I really like that you guys have done it.
It was actually, it's for me, coming from campus radio for 5 years, it was similar to some things I had known about, so I was like, okay, yeah, we can definitely give that a go, and this is the perfect group for it, I think. And we were in a situation, I think, where we were playing games together every night, basically. And when we weren't doing that, one of us was streaming, and the other people were moderating for that stream. So we had a really high level of, and of course, me and Morgan by that point had been dating for a little bit, and we were all very comfortable with each other, and which is the number one thing I think for making a podcast good.
Yeah, and I feel if the hosts don't click and have that energy to bounce off and interact with each other well, then it just won't work, and you won't know. Yeah,
exactly. And it's important to get along off stream too, because there'll be times when it's oh, maybe we should change this or whatever, and it's important not to have a situation where one podcast host doesn't get along with the others, or has is really resistant to change. and such sort of things, right? Because like I said, we've evolved the process. We started out, it was a longer podcast. It was very different, but through discussing with each other and making changes, we've changed things about the timing of the podcast. And
that's a segue too. If you want to see our baseline, what we started with, and the evolution of what we went through and did, it's on YouTube, and there's that playlist.
Okay.
You can find that right there. So that's episode 1 right up until like the last episode that we did, I think, is up there now.
Everything up until this point, and this point will be added after we end here. So
they get uploaded basically every couple weeks, so it's very frequently. You can find it there. A lot of rendering that Trev does.
Yeah.
For one thing, thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. We had a really great time tonight.
Yeah, blast, man. It was a lot of fun.
Definitely give Cazzler a follow, please. Like, he's awesome streamer. Definitely check out his channel. But usually what we do with our guests at this point is, like, when we're winding down, we usually let our guests choose somebody to raid. So we love meeting new people. So tell us about this person
if they're
that
cool
you suggested.
with our guests, then they might as well be cool.
Yeah.
So the channel that I put in there is Critically Awkward, and it's actually a team of 3. It is 2 guys and 1 girl, and they are character streamers, and they're using the program that I used. I met these people when I was doing character streaming. One of them works for Adobe. They're both, all 3 of them are in the video game world with their real-time job, one way or another. One's an animator. I think one's a 3D modeler. And they are funny. They definitely bounce off each other really well. And in chat, one thing that we used to be able to do with Cazzler is you can control they're called puppets. You can control aspects of their puppets with an extension, and you can do that over there.
Excellent. Oh my god, they're playing Siege as characters. So I just pulled them over.
That's pretty cool.
I'm so excited to do this. Raid.
Yeah. Don't tell them, but Donk is my favorite.
Okay. All right, yeah. Well, if they check this out, then
we appreciate of course the opportunity to find a new streamer, or in this case group of streamers. I always think collaborative channels are very interesting.
Yeah, we know a few, and it's
we do.
Neat.
Yeah.
So also, guys, if you wouldn't mind, we usually like to have our raid call in here. So if you do a /me and then streamers become raiders, you can choose whatever emotes you have. If you have the streamers become human ones, that'd be great. We have a new bow emote, which is super awesome that Trev did. So if you do it just like that, it makes a really cool color scheme in the chat. So do whatever you guys want. I'm not your mom. But
yeah, you can /me, you can emote. You don't have to. It doesn't matter.
But super fun. And thank you guys, everybody, for coming by and hanging out. And thank you so much, Kaz, very much.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yeah, all right.
You too.
We'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
All right. Usually I start that beforehand, so we gotta wait like a couple seconds. So it's gonna be a little awkward just standing here.
Wow.
Awkward.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
About ready to get up in my underwear.
Yeah.